Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, meathead. Remember I said yesterday, I don't think I know, that you read all these books and you write all these icons and then you don't do what they do. Didn't I say that? Or words of that effect? Yeah, okay. The founder of McDonald's is the beginning. We're starting off soft. This is like first, second grade shit. But you saw what he did. And a little later on, I'm going to ask you for your comments. And I used to ask, would you do the same thing? And then you all lie and say yes. So I don't do that anymore. Because you're delusional. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't mortgage your house and not tell your wife and all the shit, right? Or you wouldn't. Are you married, young lady? Okay, well, you don't have to worry about that. If you're single, you're better off. This program is built for a single man or woman. And women have it easier. And I'm jealous. And I've said many countless times, I fucked my way to the top. And we're going to show you some examples of last year, the Corona, where a couple of gals, now admit it, these girls are dying of fucking might looking. They look like Penthouse magazine or that kind of good looking. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that they didn't do what I would do. I don't believe it where my heart's supposed to be. I don't believe it, but when I tell you the story a little later on, and we don't show the slides to the YouTubers because they'd be on these two girls like worse than stink on shit. We even cover their faces and we try to change their bodies, but you can't change your bodies too much without not getting the full pleasure of viewing it. So we have the founder. And I've said countless times that, and I mentioned it, I believe, last night, that reading books is not taking action. And we used to go around, how many personal development books have you read? We had a gal, this was the 90s, that had spent $250,000 on personal development. Courses, books, whatever. $250,000, which is about $300,000 now, or $350,000 now. And she had gone to see everybody from Tony to Jay to you name it, and she's been there. But she took action. And when I met her, she probably was worth, I don't know, 5 or 6 or maybe even $10 million. And when she went out, when she exited, she was worth, 50 or 60 million. But we don't ask that anymore because it's not germane, it's not relevant. Other than for a few people after we'll get through 7 or 8 of you, you'd start thinking, I better not tell them. And you'd only say 2 or 3, you'd lie to make yourself look better, or not as stupid as the people that already told me. So 99% of all those exercises that we did, this is before webinars, we don't do anymore because I didn't get the truth. The seminar is based on the questions that you answered in your personal information. If you lied about that, it would take the whole class to lie. So if you conspired, all got together and lied, but that hasn't happened yet. Yet, I say. But when I ask you, what's the highest performance thing you ever did? And you listed. Some of you said, Zippo, nothing. Coming here. What's the highest performance thing your significant other or your wife or whatever you call them, partner? Zippo. Or she got a master's degree in finance. Great. What's the highest performance thing your father and mother? Nothing. For those of you that have children that are old enough, your children, nothing. So if it's nothing and nothing and nothing and nothing, the chances of you doing anything high performance are 0. Does everybody understand that? Is everybody's English good enough? Yet, one of the gurus that will write a book, I'm sure that half the gurus have a book in January because that's a good time to sell books because everybody's trying to change their life around with goals and et cetera, affirmations, et cetera. At least half of you in this room probably bought a book or made a goal when you did your goals, if you did your goals at the year end or the beginning of the year. We're still close enough to the beginning of the year. That I'm going to read 3 personal development books. Or I'm going to read a personal development stroke finance book a month or a week. You notice I didn't ask you I asked you what your, one sentence, what was your goal? And a few of you we had nobody in here that said a trillionaire. We had nobody in here. We had a couple, 500 million. I'm not sure. We might have had one or two that want to be a billionaire. But you're a product of your social and economic milieu. You're a product of where you grew up. You're a product of your parents. You did what you saw your parents do. You didn't do what your parents told you to do. I'm a classic example of that. I did, vis-a-vis certain aspects of my life, what I saw my dad do. My dad worked 28 years as a cop. He never took a day off. And when he retired, and I've said this many, many times on YouTube, when he retired after 28 years, he had 700 statutory days leave that he got paid for. Now, in the old days, you got a check. Now, they expire in 1 year, 2 years, or every 6 months. But he got a big check for 700 days. So if you do the math, or as they say in Britain, if you do the maths, I don't understand that. If you do the math, he never took a fucking day off in 28 years. From 1971 to 1998, I didn't take a day off. I worked 27 years without a day off, including the day I got married, including the day, if you call it a honeymoon. I went on my honeymoon, one of those package deals. Well, now they're popular. $600, 4 nights in Hawaii, and this or that, and some bullshit, you know. And what examples did your parents give you? And if that program had worked out, you wouldn't be here. Some of you one or two of you might be seminar junkies. So you get off on coming to seminars, but you don't get off on doing anything about it. And there's a lot of those around. What are some of your comments about the founder? What do you think about it? Or about the movie, or about the concept, or the sacrifices? Yes, sir. Do the mic. Yeah.
I have a question about McDonald's real estate model.
You have a question about what?
McDonald's real estate model. So I know we're not supposed to buy real estate
Correct.
in the beginning. So what about later down the road?
Well, we're not down the road, are we?
Okay.
I'm going to say at least 100 times, just follow the motherfucking steps. Or I'll say, just follow the damn steps. Or just follow the steps. And you're going to ask me sometime, one of you are going to get a light bulb off in your head, you're going to have an epiphany. And what's the biggest reason that the kids fail? They don't follow the fucking steps. Real estate is not in the first step. It's not in the first 7 steps the first time around. Andreas has made 20 acquisitions, more or less. He's yet to buy any real estate with any of them. He's got enough equity in the holding company now to use that as the equity that, without somebody having to write a check for money. But he still hasn't. And again, the reason that it doesn't work with the real estate, as I give you the example of the dental practice, is because there's not enough free cash flow to cover the debt service on the property, the real estate. There is enough cash flow to cover the income derived, or the EBITDA, free cash flow on the actual practice itself. And we teach you in 2 or 3, 4 days how, when you get to that point that real estate makes sense, how to do it. But it's not any time before the 7th or 8th acquisition, if you follow the steps. If for those of you that are going to go elephant hunting, starting off, which the probability of your success goes way down, elephant hunting, going off. We have kids doing 20. The one good-looking chick I told you about did $18 million deal, her first deal. Took her 805 days. So if you want to wait 805 days, you do the maths, how long that is. But her first deal, she got fairly rich off her first deal. And that's not my recommendation. Other questions about the founder, comments? Yes, sir.
I noticed that when he bites people, he knows that he can swallow them whole first. Just like when he was divorcing his wife, he had a new partner already. Well,
a lot of guys do that. I mean, that's not QLA. I mean, that's just human nature, because men think with the wrong head. I mean, that's just it's life. But yeah, but I mean, he was a malt machine salesman. Or something. I forget what the hell they call it. Yeah, and but see, when he saw that opportunity, he jumped on it. Everybody in this room has passed up an opportunity to being rich, and you didn't jump on it. I'm going to tell you later on, when we're not on film, how I fucked up with Nike, how I fucked up with Microsoft, and how I fucked up with the McMahon's world the wrestling shit. All three of those, I could have gotten on the ground floor. And I said, especially the wrestling. I remember coming back from Connecticut, his home, and in those days they had the cassette things, and we were watching the cassette of, I think it was Gorgeous George was a blonde-headed guy who was about 45 years old. And I turned to the guy next to me and said, well, nobody's going to pay for this shit. This is a piece of shit. I could have bought, every point was 50 grand. So I could have bought 10% for 500 grand. And I said, no. But I've got a list. Sally, the reason why Sally doesn't sit in the seminars anymore, because she's my fact checker. On how many of those did you have, Dan? 8 or 10. 40. I had 40 or 50 opportunities. Each one of them were billion-dollar opportunities. I passed it because I said, nobody is stupid enough to do this. Nobody. Obviously, they were, weren't they? Okay, other comment about, yes, sir.
You had the brother, he had a vision for the nationwide, and so did Kroc. The brother did a good job. Kroc did what it took.
Correct. Very few people remember a second place in a 100-yard dash or the marathon, whatever, okay? It's nice. You got a silver medal, and, you're one of the 4 or 5 fastest, whatever. But it's the guy that wins. I'm going to speak at Princeton in a few days, and it's a 5-year process. Anyway, that's another. I could give a seminar on how to try not to speak at an Ivy League school. But the guys with those kind of educations, we have 1 or 2 in the audience here today. Certainly, Kroc wasn't one of them because those kind of educations give you introductions one time. They open more doors, and if you went to a school, you got to explain about it like I do. I did. Other comments about the founder? The very back.
Yeah, he was a ruthless guy who stole.
To me, he was a pussycat.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Where I come from, he wouldn't have lasted to his 15th birthday. Okay, so he's a pussycat. No, he's ruthless, you said. I don't think he's ruthless. You compare him to Steve Jobs, and I mean, Steve Jobs is in high school, he's in kindergarten. Anything else? Again, you.
So there was one part where they were doing a handshake deal at the end.
Yeah, well, there was no such a thing as a handshake deal. That's a joke. Bruce Whipple and I still have a handshake deal it's almost 29. No, next month it's 29 years old. But most, that's a joke. It's a joke. I mean, those days of handshake deals, even Andrew Carnegie, before him, they weren't worth a shit. They're good when it's convenient for both sides to honor them. It's like marriage. There becomes a time in a marriage or a relationship, it's not convenient anymore. Yes, sir.
That is the example of the founder when the wife wasn't supportive, when she was just sitting at her home waiting for him to take her out for a dinner. He just ditched her. And the same thing with his friends. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. When they failed...
go ahead.
When they failed in the business, he just ditched them and he went on by himself.
So now you're saying that like you have surprise in your voice. That's why I say we have over a 60% divorce rate. It's actually a lot higher than that. We capped it at 60% because that's high enough. We have a 60% business partnership split up rate. See, your businesses, the little chicken shit businesses you have, and a couple of you got businesses that are a little bigger than chicken shit, it's been convenient to accept non-performance in your business partner. It's like marriage. Start with lust, blah, 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 okay. And then you got kids, and then, the grass is greener. I rather have what I know than the grass that I don't know. In other words, another partner. You've had business relationships of convenience all your life, to the extent that you've been in business with somebody. And at least half of you have been stolen from by your business partner. If you're of Asian ethnicity, 90% of your business partners have stolen from you. So I call it like it is. How many employees do you have with your brim thing?
About 8.
Okay. I met him many, many years ago. I was trying to figure out this morning. And about that same time, somebody else that was in a similar business, not the business he just described, and his wife is in a fight with her sister, right? I love when sisters turn on sisters. It gives me an erection. I love when daughters turn on fathers. I mean, I get off, literally. Shoot my sperm to that table. I mean, I get off on that because that's really what life is. Cain versus Abel. But you don't want to admit it. The sooner you come to the realization that either you're Cain or Abel, the sooner you have the potential to be up there. And we'll talk about what gets you on the... And we just added, in the last year, the largest addition, 16 to the Hall of Fame during Corona. 16. We hadn't done 16 in more than 5 years. 10 years. Because we had some people that, just fucking hit it. When I told them, this is our time. Remember me screaming in the videos, this is our fucking time. A few paid attention. It's never going to get any better than this. A few paid attention. And now you're going to talk to some of them this week. A few of them live. Other comment about the founder. Yes, sir. Again.
I just want to add what this gentleman said about taking the nationwide. He was good at branding. He was like, we have churches with crosses, we have government buildings with flags, and we have McDonald's Golden Arcs. It's the place for family, and he branded it in that way so he can attract more customers. And also, there's a scene where he's like selling the franchises. He's selling to the Jews, Muslims, Christians, everywhere. He didn't care. He was just selling his dreams.
The one thing that differentiates Kroc from a lot of the other icons is he could sell. For those of you that have selling experience, that doesn't mean you can sell, just because you have selling experience. We got a used car salesman in the group, and I used to sell used cars. I was proud of it, okay? Your family, I'm a salesman that's just taking his selling skills to the top. I sell governments. I've sold governments, okay? I've sold sovereign funds. But when you get back and if you tell, and I tell you not to tell anything about what you learned here, because they won't understand. It'll just be another nail in your coffin. But if you should slip, and some of you will, that you're just a salesman, just like a used car salesman. And for those of you that have degrees from schools, even shitty schools, your family didn't send you to be a motherfucking salesman. Just a shitbag salesman. But for those of you that can actually sell something, which I doubt, based on your incomes. 45 years ago, when I was making 7 figures selling. There's nobody even remotely close to that in this room, 45 years later. But if you can sell, and if you're willing, and not everybody will, because the templates are really how to sell. We don't sell it that way, pun intended. And there's a lot of good sales material out there. The Wolf has got good sales material. Grant's got good sales material. Jay's got good sales material. Dan Locke's got good sales material. They don't sell it as Dan Locke, Cardone, and the Wolf sell it as sales material. Jay doesn't, but if you'll absorb and admit that, and you try to share it with your family, your brother and sister and your mother, and they're thinking if they don't say it, because they're going to try to be PC. They won't say to you, you fucking moron. Just a shitbag salesman. And you pay this moron 40 grand to go learn how to sell? That's the truth. And the same approach is what I'm going to use in politics. No, politically speaking, there hasn't been a guy that told the truth in Britain since Winston motherfucking Churchill, and then after that, Maggie Thatcher. That's it. And ultimately, they threw them both out on their asses. Because there's a famous movie, Officer and a Gentleman, where Jack Nicholson says, you can't stand the truth! Because you can't. And what's the first rule of crisis management? Lie! In March of 2020, I said it's going to come down to commerce or lives vis-a-vis the corona. Commerce, open it up for business, and people are going to die. And that's exactly what we did. But it took the politicians 2.5 years, or 2 years and some months, to be able to stomach saying that to their constituents and not get thrown out of office. Yet I said it right away. Anything else about the founder? Yes?
He gave no equity, same as Andrew Carnegie. When the brothers asked for 1% of the company, he says no. When lawyer asked him when he was divorcing his wife, can she have a piece of the company? He says no. She can have a house, she can have a car, and that's it. And also, sir, I have a question. You mentioned Carnegie as one of your idols.
No, he is. I don't have more than one. I have a political idol, Winston Churchill, and I have a business idol, Andrew Carnegie.
And Jack Welch.
Well, no, Jack Welch is my idol. But Jack Welch is, he framed what Andrew Carnegie, and he started framing, he retired at 65, he died at 85. He had 20 years to reframe his history. They used to call him Nitron Jack. Why? Because a nitron bomb just kills people and leaves the building standing. He did the rank and yank. In reality, every third year, normally more every second year, he fired 40%, the bottom 40%. If you institute rank and yank, for those of you that have businesses, and if you institute the weekly report you're going to have for yourself, 3/4 of your employees will be gone the first month. That's one of the only guarantees I give. Your brother will quit. Your father will quit. Your sister will quit. Your cousins will quit. Because nobody, I'll say that, except for Amazon and a couple of others, nobody, makes people truly accountable. Truly accountable. Elon makes them truly accountable. He doesn't even spend any money on marketing, advertising. Okay. Okay, YouTube. Thank you.